My coverage of the remastered classes in Player Core 2 continues, and the next one in the alphabet is the Oracle. First, to introduce myself, I am Ronald, the Rules Lawyer. I am a lawyer who runs tabletop role-playing games. For several years, I ran an after-school, middle-school RPG class. Support my Patreon. It allows me to continue making videos. I don't make money as an attorney. For more info on that, look at this video. Supporting my Patreon gives you ad-free early access and exclusive content. The Oracle is a divine spellcaster, a spontaneous spellcaster. That means they have a relatively limited spell repertoire, but they can choose at the moment of casting which of their spells they will cast. The source of their power is a mystery. It is an unfiltered connection to the great powers of the universe and the planes beyond. You become a vessel or a gateway for this power to spill forth. Thematically, it's not too different from the D&D 5e Warlock or the Pathfinder Witch. Something pretty inscrutable is the source of your power. You can unleash more of this power to do more powerful abilities, but at a cost, depending on your mystery, which is your Oracle subclass. Overall, the remaster buffs the Oracle. The Oracle before was somewhat of a tricky class to play. It took some skill to play it effectively. The main thing is that using your arguably defining abilities, your focus spells, caused your curse to intensify, and you could only intensify your curse so much before being overwhelmed. You could only have 2 levels of your curse, in fact, at early levels. And on top of that, your curse gave you positive and negative effects, making decision-making more complex. So what has changed? Well, in terms of your hit points and basic proficiencies, nothing has, and I'm only going to cover the changes, and there's quite a lot of them. The big change now is that your focus spells no longer advance your curse. Above is the language from before. Your revelation spells, which were your focus spells as an oracle, had the curse-bound trait, so that when you cast them, it advanced the severity of your curse. Now that language is nowhere to be found with regard to your focus spells. This is a huge buff. Your signature abilities are now accessible without having to worry about advancing your curse and hitting its limits. The trade-off, however, is that you have a focus pool of 1. It used to be 2. But that is a focus point you can spend now without having to think about the consequences. So what does advance your curse now? Well, there are feats that you can take that have the curse-bound trait, special actions and activities that are pretty powerful that intensify your curse. Each subclass, which is called your mystery, gets one of these feats for free. And we'll go over them when we discuss the subclasses. Now, there's one important overall change here that was discussed in Paizo's preview blog post, which is that your curse now only gives you negative effects. It doesn't give you a combination of positive and negative effects anymore. This sounds bad. However, the curse-bound actions you can do via feats are allowed to be more powerful to compensate. It also simplifies decision-making. There's only one effect now, albeit a negative one, that you have to think about when you use a curse-bound ability. This does take away some of the flavor of each curse, however, which is something I'll get to at the end. Instead of having names like minor curse and moderate curse, now it's just a condition called curse-bound that has a numerical value. As before, you can only go to the second stage, which is now called Curse-Bound 2, at least until you get to higher levels. It can go up to 3 at level 11 and up to 4 at level 17. You can reduce your Curse-Bound value between combats with the Refocus activity, which reduces it by 1, which is different from before. No matter how extreme your curse was before, it always brought you down to minor curse, or the first stage. Now each refocusing of 10 minutes brings you down only 1 step. However, an important buff here is that you can actually reduce your curse value to 0 now, whereas before you couldn't go below the minor curse, what would now be called Curse-Bound 1. This means that you can now do 2 curse-bound abilities in every encounter, assuming you have enough time to refocus between them. Another notable change is that there no longer is the option to overwhelm yourself and go beyond your limits, which before was an option, but it cut off your access to your curse-bound abilities for the rest of the day. Now there are arguments online as to how many actual spell slots an oracle gets. There is contradictory language. The text says that at first level you get 2 first-rank spells, and the spell repertoire says something similar. It says that at every new spell rank you get 2 spells of that rank added to your repertoire. However, the table printed in this book, the first printing, shows you having 3 spells gained with every new spell rank, and it eventually goes up to 4. The only caster that has this is the sorcerer, and the wizard if you include their school spell. Now, Paizo will have to clarify this because this is a blatant inconsistency. And I'm going to guess that they're going to lower these numbers by 1 to make them fall in line with most casters. The discussions I've seen online say that they already have enough, which is kind of true. They already have their resource of their focus point pool and the resource of their curse ability. Some of those curse-bound abilities are as strong as spells, so they don't need necessarily any more. And that also preserves the niche that sorcerers have of having the most spontaneous spellcasting slots. We also have significant changes to the mysteries. I'm using the Ancestors mystery as an example. First, they still each give you a skill, and they give you access to cleric domains. They used to give you access to 2 before, now they give you 4. However, they no longer give you a free domain spell at level 1. That's why there's only 1 focus point in your focus point pool now. I would say that's been effectively replaced by your new curse-bound feat at level 1, most of which you can use twice in a combat. I would say overall it's a net gain. If you want to get one of those domain spells, you can still get it with the level 2 feat Domain Acumen. Before you would get an additional cantrip added to your spell repertoire, now you also get a first rank spell at level 1 and 2 additional spells at higher ranks. These spells are, almost all of them, are outside the divine tradition, so they are broadening your access to spells outside the divine spellcasting list. Also, we don't have mystery benefits anymore, usually a passive ability that you used to get from your mystery. There is no replacement for that. I'll talk about the subclasses soon after going over the rest of the class features. They're pretty much the same, with a couple of exceptions. There's a new level 11 feature called Divine Access, which lets you add 3 spells to your repertoire. They must come from a deity who has a domain in common with your mystery. Pretty much all of these spells are outside the divine tradition, so this further expands your access beyond divine spells. Also, the level 17 feature giving you access to the extreme version of your curse has been changed. First of all, there is an extreme version of your curse that exists now called Curse-Bound 4. Before, there was only 3 levels, and what this class feature did was that you could overwhelm yourself at stage 3, but you would get the Doomed 2 condition, and if you were already doomed, it would increase your doomed value by 2. Ouch. For those who don't know, that makes it easier to die. If you are doomed 2, you would die at dying 2 instead of dying 4. This is definitely less punishing, just giving you a heightened version of your curse. And when we see what Curse-Bound 4 does, they're definitely not as bad as Doom 2. Also gone is the ability to regain 2 and then later 3 focus points when you refocus for 10 minutes. Now there's a level 12 feat to completely fill your focus point pool, just like with other classes. This makes sense to me because previously you got that because your curse was limiting how often you use those focus spells. Now that fetter is gone and they could be treated like other classes' focus points. All right, on to the subclasses. Here they are. There are 8 of them in this book. The first one is Ancestors. This one was the hilarious one. I thought that when your curse advanced, you had these ancestors whispering in your ear, telling you to do this, telling you to do that. Well, that feature now lives in a feat, a curse-bound feat that you can take, that anyone can take actually now. A lot of the curse-bound feats are not limited to specific mysteries. The mystery now grants you the cantrip Guidance and the spells Ill Omen, Ghostly Carrier, and Dreaming Potential. The revelation spells are unchanged from before, and I looked at them. They're Ancestral Touch, Ancestral Defense, and Ancestral Form. You get access to the cleric domains Death, Duty, Family, and Soul, and you get to be trained in Society. Your level 1 free feat is Whispers of Weakness. Now let's take a look at that. With one action, you target a creature in 60 feet and you learn its weaknesses, as well as what saving throw is weakest for it. This is prime information for many parties, and there's no chance of failure. And in addition to all that, you get a +2 status bonus to your next attack roll or attack skill action against that foe before the end of your turn. But this seems pretty good to me. You get what 2 recall knowledge checks would get you, and without a chance of failure, and you get a +2 bonus to your next check. It helps the party and you. This looks very good. But as with all other curse-bound abilities, there is the drawback: it will advance your curse. So let's see what happens to the Ancestors' Oracle. Basically, they become clumsy with a value equal to their curse-bound value. This simulates the meddling and distraction from your ancestors. Every -1 matters, so you do make yourself more of a target with this mystery. The next one is the Battle Mystery. Gone are the previous medium armor proficiency and heavy armor proficiency, and proficiency with 1 martial weapon group. We'll see what replaces that. Significantly, we get Sure Strike as a first rank spell, which is not on the Divine Spell list. So very good, obviously, for your attacks. Then you also get Telekinetic Maneuver and Weapon Storm. They now get a different initial revelation spell, focus spell, which is Weapon Trance. This replaces their martial weapon proficiency. They spend an action and they gain proficiency with martial weapons, and you have to sustain this. However, sustaining is a free action if you can successfully hit something that round. Now, I don't know about this because, well, it gives you something that why not take the general feat martial weapon proficiency so that you don't have to spend an action every battle, possibly more than 1 action, to keep your proficiency up. It at least holds you over until you become expert in weapons at level 11. Yeah, and requiring that you actually hit something each round to sustain it. If you fail to hit something, then you're going to have to spend one of your remaining actions to sustain this. And you really want to do that if you spent your only focus points on this because you can't get it back. In those important boss fights, it's very likely that you will fail to hit the foe. Anyway, I was underwhelmed by this. Your second potential revelation spell is the same, but your third one, your greater revelation spell, is Revel in Retribution. This one actually is pretty cool. With an action, you gain the Reactive Strike ability, and you get a bonus reaction every turn that must be used for that reaction. Whenever you successfully land it, you get 5 temporary hit points, and it lasts 1 minute without needing to be sustained. The Battle Mysteries' related domains are Destruction, Might, Protection, and Zeal. They become trained in athletics, and their free level 1 curse-bound feat is Oracular Warning. This one lets them, as a free action when they roll initiative, give every ally within 20 feet a +2 status bonus to their initiative roll, as well as temporary hit points equal to half your level, which last for a minute. The bonus to initiative increases if your curse-bound value is higher, which generally you don't want to be. This is a nice initiative buff. Status bonuses tend to stack with the most common buffs to initiative. Now, how does your curse advance as a battle oracle? Well, first, you get weakness to damage from spells. It is weakness 2, and any immunity or resistance you have to spells is suppressed. This is going to be a common theme when we see other curses like this. You become weaker to something, and any resistance you have to it is cancelled. It applies only to spells and not other magical abilities. Pretty nice. I mean, not that bad is what I mean. This does not scale up as you level up. It's weakness 2. However, when we get to Cursebound 2 and 3, we'll see what happens. Cursebound 2, you get a -1 status penalty to saving throws against those spells. Cursebound 3, your weakness to spells is equal to your level. So at level 20, you'll have weakness 20 to damage from spells. And at Cursebound 4, your status penalty to saves increases to -2. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention that when you see a list like this, all of the effects are cumulative. That's described earlier in the Oracle. Well, I'll have to say that the Battle Oracle, this curse is not that bad, especially in the first 10 levels when you never get to Cursebound 3. However, it overall seems not in a happy place. The loss of medium and heavy armor proficiency hurts, and you no longer get the bonus to damage that the previous Battle Oracle got. I'm actually not sure how viable Battle Oracles were before, because you still could only progress your weapon strikes to expert at level 11, and it got no better. But now even that is tenuous. It depends on you casting and spending an action on your focus spell, at least with martial weapons. However, they do get access to Sure Strike, which is probably going to be a signature spell. And Oracular Warning is a nice leader ability. Anyway, I'd like to know what your thoughts are. Definitely leave them in the comments. The next mystery is the Bones Mystery. For some reason, you have some understanding of death and undeath. You're granted the cantrip Void Warp and Grim Tendrils, False Vitality, and Ghostly Weapon. Your revelation spells are mostly the same. You have Soul Siphon, Armor of Bones, and Claim Undead. Claim Undead got a little buff. Any undead creatures who, even those who succeed against your saving throw, become confused for a round. It used to be that they were just stunned. Now they're additionally confused. Their related domains are Death, Decay, Undeath, and Vigil, and you become trained in Medicine. The Curse-bound feat at level 1 is called Nudge the Scales. This is very action efficient. You spend one action to heal a creature within 30 feet of you. You heal them 2 plus double your level, which is not that spectacular, the amount, but that 30-foot range with one action is pretty good. But also you can heal the living or the undead. In fact, you are straddling the divide between vitality and void with this subclass. In fact, you can choose during your daily preparations whether you want to have void healing, so to be treated as an undead creature for purposes of vitality and void effects. So you can choose to be healed by the harm spell, or you can choose not to. I just think thematically this is a really cool concept. Now, what's the downside of advancing your curse with this? Well, your curse gives you weakness 2 to vitality and void damage, and you can be hurt by both types of damage no matter what choice you made that morning. Any immunity or resistance to these is suppressed. Curse Bound 2, you get a -1 status penalty to your fortitude saves, and Curse Bound 3 is pretty nasty. You get weakness to these types of damage equal to 5 plus your level. Curse Bound 4, your penalty to fortitude saves becomes -2. So if you're dealing with a lot of undead doing void damage, you are in peril. But that's not the usual case. Hopefully you'll be all right. Next is the Cosmos Mystery. This is the one that has some connection to the stars, or to the infinitely dark spaces between. Your granted spells are Light, Dizzying Colors, Darkness, and Moon Frenzy, and your revelation spells are unchanged from before. They're Spray of Stars, Interstellar Void, and Moonlight Bridge. Your related domains are Darkness, Moon, Nothingness, and Star, and you become trained in Nature. And you get our feat Oracular Warning that we saw with the Battle Oracle before, the bonus to initiative and temporary hit points to your allies. So not much to say there. I'm only covering the changes. And of course, we have a new way your curse advances. You become enfeebled equal to your curse-bound value, and you take a status penalty to saves and DCs against all forms of forced movement equal to that value. This seems the least harmful to me of all of the curses, because you might not care about whether you can hit things hard or wrestle. And forced movement doesn't happen a whole lot. Watch, I'm waiting for the comments of somebody saying they were knocked off a cliff because of it, but anyway, I'm talking about the average situation. The next mystery is the Flames Mystery. Your granted spells are Ignition, formerly Produce Flame, Breathe Fire, formerly called Burning Hands, Blazing Bolt, and Fireball. Yes, you get the Fireball spell. Actually, the Flames Oracle before could not get the Fireball spell without a high-level feat. So this is definitely an improvement. The Revelation spells are the same: Incendiary Aura, Whirling Flames, and Flaming Fusillade. Their related domains are Dust, Fire, Star, and Sun, and they become trained in Acrobatics. Now, your Curse-bound feat is Foretell Harm. As a free action, when you cast a non-cantrip spell that deals damage, at the beginning of the target's next turn, it takes damage again equal to twice the triggering spell's rank from some seemingly random happenstance. If you did fire damage, it would be fire damage. If it was electricity damage, it would be electricity damage, and so on. They're then immune for 24 hours. Bonus damage equal to twice the rank is pretty good. There are other classes who get half of that. I looked at this ability in my Oracle preview video, but I didn't mention the fact that this is particularly great if that foe has a weakness to your damage type, because the weakness triggers every single time they take damage. So this is definitely a level 1 feat you want to take if you want to do more damage. And again, these Curse-bound feats are not limited to the mysteries that give them for free. But their curse state is pretty spectacular. They catch fire and take persistent fire damage equal to their curse-bound value. It stops once they start refocusing, thankfully. Otherwise, you would die. And they also go out when you become unconscious, thankfully, because otherwise you would die. Now, this also means that you can't really bank your curse-bound ability. Sometimes there are some feats that benefit from you being more curse-bound, but this is not one you want to have around outside of an encounter. I don't know how harmful that is, because I don't know how good of an idea that is anyway to increase your curse before a battle. But one other effect is that you must immediately start refocusing once a battle ends. You cannot be the one who is the main medicine healer for your group, for example. You probably want to put out your own fire before you help anyone else. The Life Mystery grants you these spells, the cantrip Vitality Lash, then Soothe, False Vitality, and Grisly Growths. Your Revelation spells are unchanged from before, Lifelink, Delay Affliction, and Life-Giving Form. Your related domains are Death, Healing, Pain, and Soul, and you become trained in Medicine. And your free level 1 feat is Nudge the Scales. That's the one from earlier where you straddle life and death and can heal the living or the undead. Your curse is interesting. You benefit less from magical effects that restore hit points. You take a status penalty equal to your level times your curse-bound value. So if you're a level 10 Oracle and are curse-bound 2, any magical healing of you will heal 20 less. You definitely want someone good with Treat Wounds in your party if you have a Life Oracle. Now, I must say that the idea previously of the Life Oracle was that you were really good at dishing out healing to other people at the cost of your own ability to heal, and sometimes giving some of your own health away. Nudge the Scales ability is also taken up by the Bones Oracle. There is this level 16 feat that I'll get to that can be used for more healing, but that's available to all oracles. So this is pretty vanilla, and I'll contrast it to what existed before. I'll show it on the screen. Your major curse before made you shoot off an area heal every round, a lower rank heal, while you lost hit points every round. So here's a case where I think the mystery lost some of its flavor and lost its niche. Hopefully future source books will provide some special curse-bound feats that are specific to these mysteries. Next is the Lore Mystery. Nothing much has changed here. Your Revelation spells are Brain Drain, Access Lore, and Dread Secret, like before. Your granted spells are Read Aura, Mind Link, Hypercognition, and Nevermind. Your related domains are Knowledge, Magic, Secrecy, and Truth. And here, like before, you get 2 skills, Occultism and a lore skill of your choice. Your curse-bound feat is Whispers of Weakness, the one that gave you information on a foe, and gave you a bonus on your next attack check against it. Now, how does your curse advance? Well, your curse-bound value becomes a status penalty to your perception checks and will saving throws, as the torrential distractions of unasked for knowledge flood your mind. All of these things have great flavor, by the way. I just don't have time to go through all of them. However, you have an additional bonus effect at Curse-Bound 4. No other mystery gets one like this. You stop being able to speak, cannot use linguistic effects naturally, and you cannot communicate with your allies, and you're a stupefied 1. Completely terrible for you. But I guess that's the price you pay. The last mystery is the Tempest Mystery, the one about storms and lightning. It grants you Electric Arc, Thunderstrike, Hydraulic Torrent, and Chain Lightning. Chain Lightning is a nice addition. Your Revelation spells are the same as before, Tempest Touch, Thunderburst, and Tempest Form. Your related domains are Air, Cold, Lightning, and Water, and you become trained in Nature. Your curse-bound feat is Foretell Harm, the one that does delayed bonus damage, which is on theme with your mystery. You're doing a lot of damage here. Your curse gives you weakness to damage from electricity spells and to any effect that is worse if you were wearing metal armor. Any immunity and resistance to such things is suppressed. The other things are interesting. Curse-bound 2, you get a -2 circumstance penalty to all ranged attack rolls you make. Fortunately, a lot of these spells above don't call for attack rolls, I noticed. Curse-bound 3, you get weakness to electricity equal to 5 plus your level. Fortunately, electricity damage is pretty situational. Cursebound 4, the raging winds are pushing you back, and you get a -10 status penalty to all your speeds, including your burrow speed. Now we've seen all the bad things that can happen to you from your mysteries. Now let's go over the feats, the changes to feats, and this will include a lot of new feats that are new cursebound actions that you can take. We already went over the free level 1 feats you get from your mystery. I will not cover things that are unchanged from the previous Oracle. This feat, Meddling Futures, is what used to be the curse effect for the Ancestors Oracle, the one that had the meddling parents and grandparents. Like before, you roll a die to see what they're going to tell you to do. Now, these give positive things to you if you carry out what they tell you. However, you may not want to do what they tell you. If you don't want to do what they tell you, you must do a DC 6 flat check, or else your action is lost. If you rolled a 1, you have a warrior whispering in your ear, and you get a bonus to your attack and damage. And it's a nice +6 damage if you're Cursebound 3. These all increase at Cursebound 3, by the way. If you roll a 2, you get an adept who wants you to do a perception check or a skill action. You'll get a status bonus if you do. If you roll a 3, you get the sage, where you have to attempt to cast a spell. You get a status bonus to the damage or healing equal to the spell's rank, and it goes up if you are Cursebound 3. If you roll a 4, you get the Wanderer, where you must attempt to stride, fly, climb, or burrow. You get a bonus to your speed if you do so. Now, I really enjoy the flavor of this ability, though its value is, I'm not sure what it is. Because when you use this ability, you'll want to have a plan B, because it might cost you an action. You want to be in a situation where 2 or maybe even 3 of these options are desirable. Also, I don't know about this new 4th result. It used to be if you rolled a 4, you could choose which of the other ones you wanted. But moving can be bad. You might provoke a reaction. And step is not one of the options here. Okay, that's that. The level 4 feat, Knowledge of Shapes, is interesting. It lets you use, if you have one of the spell shape feats, formerly called metamagic feats, Reach Spell or Widen Spell, which are both level 1 feats, you get to use them as a free action. So this is a big boon to your action economy. If you take this, you can extend a touch spell 30 feet without spending an action. In fact, I'm not sure why more classes have access to a feat like this. Actually, I answered my own question. This increases your Cursebound value, which other classes cannot. So this is an example of them juicing up a feat because there's a cost that comes with it. The next feat is called 1,000 Visions, and this gives you many of the effects of the blind fight feat that some classes can get. At least within 30 feet of you, you get to target any concealed creature without having to roll, and any hidden creatures, you only need to roll a 5 on a flat check to target. You're also not off guard to any creatures that are hidden from you. The downside, though, is that beyond 30 feet, everything is hazy, all your senses are imprecise, and so everything is at best hidden to you beyond that range. And this lasts for a minute, and it's a free action. However, it has to increase your curse. The next feat I'll mention is Surging Might. This actually existed before as a level 10 feat, now it's level 8. I think to make room for the level 10 feats we're about to see. But this is the one that is a spell shape spell, an action, to make your spell ignore a certain amount of resistance to one of these types of damage equal to your level. And that is spirit, vitality, or void damage. You get to ignore some of that resistance. It also applies to any persistent damage and other ongoing effects, so that's nice. Level 8 is Water Walker. When you are Cursebound 1, you can walk across liquids, and starting at Cursebound 2, you don't have to end your movement on a solid surface. Now, this sounds kind of meh and situational, but we'll see that it sets up a higher level feat that is quite good. At level 10, we have a group of feats, each of which is limited to 2 of the 8 mysteries presented in this book. Roll the Bones of Fate is very evocative. This is only available to the Bones mystery and the Lore mystery. Once every 10 minutes, you roll a d4, spend an action. You advance your curse, of course. If you roll a 1, the result is called Good. You or an ally within 30 feet can roll twice on your next attack roll or skill check, taking the higher result. If you roll a 2, it's called bad. One creature you're observing within 30 feet must do a will save. If they fail to get the opposite effect, basically they have misfortune. They must roll twice and use the lower result on their next attack roll or skill check. One that takes at least one action to perform. Rolling a 3 is mixed. You get to gain the benefits of the first 2. Rolling a 4 is pretty spectacular. It's called Cursed Possibilities. Your attempts to meddle in the forces of prophecy bring dire consequences for all. Every creature within 30 feet of you basically has a 50-50 chance of getting the good effect or the bad effect. They roll twice, basically, and if the higher number is an odd number, then it's bad. If it's an even number, then it's good. So the first 3 are all good things for you, but the last one could be either. The next one is The Dead Walk, available to the Ancestors and Battle Mysteries. This was featured in Paizo's preview blog. You summon 2 warrior spirits within 30 feet of you, and they each attempt to strike against an adjacent enemy, using your spell attack modifier. And I observed in my video that they don't incur the multiple attack penalty and don't contribute to yours. I imply this from the language that's not here from the Spiritual Armament spell. These strikes do spirit damage, which is good against nearly all foes. And they can also give each other and also your allies flanking. They stick around until the start of your next turn. If you are Cursebound 2 when you use this, you instead summon 3, and if you're Cursebound 3, you instead summon 4. One thing I didn't mention before is that your Cursebound condition increases after your ability, your Cursebound ability, resolves. So what that means is that if you are Cursebound 1 when you use this ability, it still summons only 2. You then become Cursebound 2 after they appear. Your warriors are still sticking around, but your action has already resolved, if that makes sense. You have to be Cursebound 2 before you use this to get bonus warriors. Okay, the next one is Trial by Skyfire, available to the Cosmos and Flames Mysteries. This is an offensive one. Your lips murmur as you portend a great disaster, one that you hope to survive. There is a rain of blazing bolts in a 10-foot emanation centered on you, and you cannot exclude yourself from the emanation. It does fire damage to all creatures. And this persists for a minute, so as you walk around the battlefield, you continue to rain down Skyfire. You also cannot dismiss it, but you can suppress it with a sustain action. It also goes away if you fall unconscious, thankfully. If you're a Cursebound 3 or greater, then it becomes a bigger area and does more damage. The next level 10 Cursebound feat is Waters of Creation, available to the Life and Tempest Mysteries. This is a healing ability. You heal all creatures in a 15-foot emanation, and this increases as you level up. And if you're a Cursebound 3 or greater, probably or greater is supposed to be included there, then you heal more. All right, the higher levels. Level 12, Epiphany at the Crossroads, a very flavorful name, a very flavorful ability. Once per day, when your turn starts and you're dying, you get the effects of an augury spell. You learn something about the future, and empowered by the realization, you stand up and regain a number of hit points equal to twice your level. I just love the picture of that. Level 14 is Lighter Than Air. This is what the previous feat, Water Walker, sets up. You need to have Water Walker, and if you are Cursebound, you gain the effects of Fly. And you fly faster if you're Cursebound 3 or more. So you get a constant fly speed once you do a Cursebound ability. Next is the Conduit of Void and Vitality, a level 16 feat. This basically adds extra kick to your 3-action heal or harm spell. If you heal any creatures, you can give extra healing equal to 1d8 times your Cursebound value. If you damage any creatures, you can deal additional damage equal to 1d8 times your Cursebound value. Note that both of these things can take effect with a single heal spell, since you can heal living and harm the undead with the same casting. Also, it only costs you 2 actions to cast a 3-action heal or harm spell. This is a Cursebound ability, of course, being so awesome. Now, the highest level Oracle feats are the same, and I will highlight a couple, however, just because they're cool, and one is affected by the changes to the Oracle. I'll explain. Level 18, Blaze of Revelation. If you are Cursebound 4 what used to be called Extreme Curse before, you can, as a free action, enter this amazing form. For a whole minute, you are surrounded by flames or spirits, something appropriate to your mystery. Once every turn, you can do a revelation spell without spending focus points. However, at the end of 1 minute, you must do a fortitude save, which can kill you. The other consequences are bad. You become drained, unless you critically succeed on your saving throw, very unlikely, for the rest of the day. So this is something to do for a big moment, obviously. Okay, the one level 20 feat I'll highlight is Paradoxical Mystery. The text is the same as before, but I'll explain how it's been made more awesome. This is the one that, during your daily preparations, you can choose a basic or advanced domain spell from any domain in the player core book, or one of the domains granted by your mystery, or you can gain an initial or advanced revelation spell of any one of the other mysteries. Whatever you choose, that becomes a revelation spell for you that day. Now, obviously, the strength here is in its versatility. You might be an oracle that's committed to healing and decide today that you are going to whirl flames on people. This is the Flame Oracle's revelation spell. But one awesome thing you can do is the Lore Oracle's revelation spell, Access Lore. This basically gives you a lore skill of your choice, and your proficiency in it is equal to your proficiency in your oracle spellcasting. By the time you're level 20, you are legendary in your spellcasting. So this means even if you're not a lore oracle, you can, with this spell, become legendary in any lore skill in the game. And if you know how lore works, you lower the DC of what you're trying to get more information about. That makes you the master of knowledge in the game. But now this feat's value is increased, for sure, because you no longer advance your curse with revelation spells and domain spells. You can now take advantage of many of the spells from other mysteries and from domains, knowing that they don't advance your curse. So I thought that was worth pointing out. Next, I'll touch on the Oracle Archetype. No longer do you get the constant minor curse when you take the dedication feat. That was a quirk in the previous archetype. You always were under the minor curse effect, while the base oracle wasn't. You gain the ability to be curse bound, but no abilities that would actually make you curse bound with this feat. To be able to advance it, you need to take a oracle feat that gives you a curse bound ability. The rest is pretty much the same. You can still get a revelation spell from your mystery. However, there is missing language, I think, here for Mysterious Breadth. This is the one that gives you an extra spell slot for each spell rank you have below your top 2 ranks. Usually this says you increase your repertoire. It definitely says that for the Sorcerer archetype, but it does not say that here. I think that's an accidental omission. All right, my final thoughts on the Oracle class. First, I think it's overall buffed and improved. I'm happy with these changes. They have kind of lowered the skill floor to play the class. Before, you needed some degree of skill and juggling to feel like you were on par with other spellcasters. Now your curse-bound abilities and your curse-free focus spells are resources you can use without having to use your spell slots. Also, the more complex things that went on with your curse before, that complexity now lives in the curse-bound feats, which you don't have to take many of. And the effects of your curse are also simplified, making them easier to deal with in play. Because your focus spells don't increase your curse value, you have more access to your defining abilities from your class, your spells at least. Before, you had to worry about your revelation spells and also the free domain spell you got at level 1, increasing your curse. It was a lot to think about, especially given that your curse effect was both positive and negative before. It simplifies the decision making. Also, something that's welcome is that you have more access to non-divine spells through the granted spells you get from your mystery and from the level 11 class feature, the one that gives you 3 more spells from a certain deity. Megan, come on, Megan, just wait, I'm almost done. However, I do join some commenters in lamenting the loss in flavor of the mysteries. There were some pretty cool effects before that did not survive, like the Cosmos Oracle getting lighter and having the effect of the Cloud Jump feat. I did wonder to myself, what if a GM allowed the old curse effects within the new Oracle? And I don't think that works balance-wise, unfortunately, because they specifically made the curse-bound feats more powerful with a purely negative trade-off from the Oracle's curse advancing in mind. My hope is that we'll see in the future more Oracle feats that are curse-bound. Oh, Megan. Oh no, she's here. Hopefully there will be feats in the future that are specific to individual mysteries, that are more bespoke and unique, that cannot be attributable to any other mystery. The level 10 feats are nice, but each of them is usable by 2 mysteries, and I think they're less flavorful as a result. I hope that can be done so that they can bring back some of the magic. Okay, so that's my video. If you liked the video, please give a like and support the channel. Also subscribe. I'm going to be doing more videos on the classes in the remaster and possibly other new things within the remaster. Ring the bell to get notified. Also, support my Patreon if you haven't already for ad-free early access and exclusive content, and join my Discord where you can join many like-minded people to talk Pathfinder 2e and other gaming. And if you want to play Pathfinder, we have a drop-in, drop-out organized play system called Endless Tale Tavern. So that's it. I've been Ronald the Rules Lawyer. I'll see you next time.